it's actually a healthy thing to have these conversations every once in a while. And so I'm here tonight just to facilitate a conversation, really. And to help me do that, there are several of you who have agreed to participate in the way of a panel. And that'll help us just to streamline the conversation. Now, we have gotten questions. How long ago did we start getting questions? 6 weeks it's been. So, some of you young people have given questions. Some of you parents have turned in questions. And I think we're getting a microphone set. Oh, okay, good. And so we've been waiting 6 weeks to sort of get these questions out there. Now, you've asked these questions to your young people, and you young people sometimes ask these questions to the adults. But the cool thing about a setting like this is that we're all here to participate and listen to one another. And there's no special agenda. I would like to appeal to you that this is just a safe place to have this conversation, to ask maybe some uncomfortable questions, and to hear some answers that you don't necessarily agree with, right? And to share some thoughts, and just let this be a safe space to do that, and to carry on that conversation. What you're going to find is that it's very interesting to hear other people's take on things that you haven't heard. So, I know when I was a young person, I thought my parents were the only ones who did certain things certain ways. And then when I talked to my friends, I realized, oh, we got a lot in common. You know, other families do things similar. But then again, there are different families do things differently entirely sometimes. There's cultural differences. There's family traditions. There's all kinds of things. And actually, I'm going to spread out these chairs a little bit and bring at least 3 of those big chairs in to join the half circle. So we've got to reconfigure the half circle a little bit. I'll take that. So, is this one on? I think so. Maybe not yet. Anyway, with all the questions that we got, which is like 40 maybe? 40 questions? I haven't gone back through to count them all exactly, but we will be, I'll be very surprised if we cover even half of those questions tonight. So what I want to do, I want to preempt this by asking each young person and each parent who is participating in the panel, and of course, it's not going to be exclusively the panel speaking. We can entertain comments from you from the pews as well. But in doing so, let's all be conscious of the time, and let's not go on too long, right? Let's answer the questions as they deserve to be answered, and take our time with it. But at the same time, be cognizant of the fact that, you know, by around 8:30 or so, we're going to kind of start bringing it to a close. And I think what we're going to find, because we're going to jump right in as quickly as we can here, what we're going to find is that we're going to run out of time tonight. We're going to run out of time before we get very far in the list of questions. Okay? I anticipate some great conversation. But I also anticipate that some of these questions, for some of us, will be touching some very sensitive chords in our hearts. And it could get kind of emotional tonight. So I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to listen, to be open-minded, and don't make anybody feel bad or anything like that. And parents, some of you don't know what the questions are young people have asked. So I'm just going to pick on you a little bit here, because as parents, you may hear some of the questions that the young people have, and you'd be like, oh, is that my son, or is that my daughter that asked that question? Oh, you know, and you might feel very uncomfortable, but I'm encouraging you parents to just chill, okay? It's okay. And we're probably not going to be able to be like exhaustive with our answers to these questions. So we're going to do our best tonight. So I have some of you who have agreed, and others of you, I'll be honest with you, maybe you had anticipated being on the panel and I didn't get the memo. I apologize. So if I missed you, just come on forward. It's all right. We have room in the front pew as well as these chairs up front. So I'm going to ask Brother Crispin and Brian and Ezer, my fellow church leaders, come on up and join me. Imelda, come on up. And is Mark here? Mark is not here yet. Come on up, take a seat. Take the pick which seat you want. Louie, are you able to come up? All right. And we're not cutting the pews in half with a chainsaw, I promise.
Eric's
Lauren
here.
and Abigail, you come on up. And Jaden, come on up. And Jennifer, would you come on up? And I don't know if I missed any of you. If you were thinking that you were included in it, please come sit wherever you can sit. If that's full, that's full. So sit in the front pew or just be where you are. It's totally fine. Like I said, we're going to interact with you out here as well. Okay? Oh, there's a chair. Go ahead. Thanks, Kate. Appreciate you. Okay. Good deal. We're going to jump right in, folks. And what I've decided I'm going to do is I am going to. I didn't bring my iPad? What did I do with my iPad? Ah, there it is. What I'm going to do is alternate back and forth between questions for you adults and questions for you young people. All right? So I was thinking we had more adults on the panel than we had young people, but this is okay. The reason I was thinking it was more is because we have more questions for you adults than we do for the young people. Okay? But we'll alternate back and forth. All right? First question. Adults. Questions for you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. See, I need to be held on task here. Let's begin with a word of prayer. Thank you very much. Father in heaven, we first of all want to thank you for the Sabbath. Thank you so much for this gift and the opportunity to come and be a family together, a church family, and grow together and listen to each other and connect tonight. I pray that your Spirit be here. Give our minds understanding and speak to our hearts tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
Maybe we need a bit more mothers.
We have hope. You know what? Thank you for drawing my attention to that. We have one mother right here. Yeah, so mothers, we're going to be turning to you throughout this evening as well. All right? So do we have another microphone that I can just share this one with you. When we come to you and you raise your hand, I'll acknowledge you and give you this microphone. So from the young people to you grown-ups, and I'll just take your hand. Just raise your hand to start with. I'll start picking on you later on. Okay, number one, how can I connect with my parents when they don't seem interested in my interests and hobbies? Are there any of you who would like Ezer? Go ahead.
Okay, Tess, do you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, we are here to, inspire each other. encourage each other and
Amen.
not judge on each other.
Amen.
And the values that represented in this forum tonight. So to me, there is no standard parenting, there is no perfect parenting. But to answer question number one is, how can I connect with my parents when they don't seem interested in my interests and hobbies? To me, this sounds really awful, for a parent to have a child and no time for the child. You don't know your child. So it stems from the very beginning when your child is still a baby until they grow old. You know them very well in and out. And so this question really hurts me when the child says that when they don't seem interested in my interests and hobbies. So maybe there is just a communication gap between you and your parent, the parents. So maybe the child feels that way.
So this is the reality, absolutely. So to answer the question though, how can I connect with my parents?
Okay, so to communicate. To me, I had to communicate.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Just hold it up close.
All right. As a Christian parent or Christian parents, I think there is no such thing as not interested. But there are probably situations that you feel like your parents are not interested to you in anything or in some things that we do. Me personally, sometimes probably appear that way because I work night shift, I sleep during the day. So if you want to catch my attention, to be interested in you, let me know what is your schedule. Daddy, I have a school activity that involves parents. This is the date. Please come. I'll be glad. Because the thing is, when the schedule as a worker, as a parent, busy parent, is already set, and then you say later, oh, tonight is my concert. Oh, tonight is my school activity. It's hard for your parents to do that adjustment. So let them know your schedule, and I think they will be able to have time with you.
These are excellent answers. And if there's any of you, I'm going to stand over here because I have my back to you, so I can see any hands if you want to add to this. Otherwise, we're going to move on to question number 2. Is there any contributor? Yes, please, in the back.
Sometimes the things that the kids are interested in might not be something that we are interested in, and so it is a little bit difficult. We were mentioning, what if the interest is something that we don't agree with? And that can be difficult as well, to know how to bridge that communication gap, But I think one thing that I know I've tried to do with my kids is my children I have 4 kids. They are all completely different. They all have completely different interests. And just taking that time to spend with them with that particular interest and get to know it, even though you might not care. I have listened to so many conversations with my one son that is all about computers, and it's so beyond my head. It's whoa, I don't get that. But I'm interested because I'm interested in him. And so I know that's something I've done as a parent now, how to get your parents interested in that. I guess just keep talking to them about it. Don't stop talking to your parents about the things that you're interested in. Invite them into your world a little bit. Elizabeth has shared music with me that I had never heard before or would have probably found. But she was like, Mom, you need to hear this song. And so she shares it. It's it kind of opens up a different world and a little picture about who she is. So keep sharing with your parents your interests, even if it might not just connect with them right away. Keep sharing those interests, and the parents will hopefully be interested in learning more about that.
Sometimes us as parents are a little bit slow to catch on to what y'all got going on, you young people. So keep trying. I like that what my wife just said. I like that. Keep trying. Keep reaching out. And I like what Ms. Lynn now said, and that is communication. Just communicate. Keep telling us. Keep telling us what your interests are. Okay? See any other hands? Let's go to question number 2. And this is from the parents to you young people. All right? How much pressure do you feel to conform to social norms of the day? And where does this pressure come from? Is there any young person that would like to answer that from the panel this evening? I'll repeat the question. How much pressure do you feel to conform to social norms of the day? And where does this pressure come from? Louis?
There's a lot of pressure because it's everywhere. In school, in the workplace, with our friends, on media. There's a lot of pressure, you know, and majority of it is some can say that it can be a positive thing, it can be a negative thing. You know, not all pressure, not all of like social norms are necessarily negative things. But at the same time, there are also some things that people consider to be norm that are bad things. And even in those things, there's still the pressure to conform, I guess, if that makes any sense, you know. So that would be my short answer.
Any other young person like to touch that? I see a lot of nodding heads. What Louis says resonates with some of you, I can see. Okay? It resonates, yes. All right. You know, I'm not trying to steamroll through this list of questions. So I'm okay if you want to think on it. Raise your hand, but we'll move on if there's no one else. Okay.
I actually have.
Thank you.
So I think it kind of depends on where you are socially, as well. Like if you are, I don't know, 13, 14, 15. I feel like it's more pressure than it is like when you're older, because like, I don't know, you kind of learn to cope with the pressure when you're older, like, I don't know, 19, 20. You kind of get used to like, oh, how to get out of situations that involve pressure. And so I feel like it just depends on what age you are and what kind of social interactions you have with people.
So you're saying it kind of comes with experience a little bit?
Yeah. Because you can be like 19 and not like have much of anything to go off of. I don't know, like, I don't know, it's kind of depends on that. Not just the age, but also the situations you've been in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The people you surround yourself with.
Is that switch on that?
And the people you surround yourself with as well.
Okay. So that kind of goes back to what Louis was saying about positive and negative pressures. Depends on the people you surround yourself with. You can see that. Okay? Very interesting. You're a young person, yes? Go ahead.
I thought the question was like really interesting because I feel like it was written from such a parent's perspective. Like, something like how much pressure do you feel to conform to social norms? When I hear that, it almost makes me think that parents look at their kids and are like, wow, they're weird for doing what other young people are doing, you know? But like, on the flip side, I think young people look at parents the same way, like, hey, we're doing what is, you know, even the term like social norms, it's almost saying like it's almost like a bad thing if you're doing what's socially normal. But I think to some young people, they're like, I'm just being normal, you know? And maybe the older generation, to them might look like, well, you know, everything that I'm kind of doing socially, like with my friends and the way that I interact with them makes sense to me and is normal to me. And so I think that like, I guess just the perspective of the question is a very like, you know, I'm on the outside looking in, and then the other person's like, I'm on the inside looking out, and it looks different to like both people. And so, I don't know, I just kind of thought of that when I heard the question. Because I feel like everyone does what they think is normal, you know? And so I think that maybe like a closer look at like, hey, this specific trend right here, like I know that a lot of young people are doing it, but have you thought about like what that might mean, or have you kind of thought further the implications of that, or like vice versa, you know, young people looking at their parents' generation and saying like, it seems like everyone that's your age does this thing, but everyone my age thinks that we should do it differently. I don't know.
My mind kind of goes to pressure that you young people have on a continual basis from within your own bubble as well, your own home. Sometimes even in your own family, you might have pressure. I know my kids have had major pressure from within my home at times. So, yeah, my mind just goes there. Yes. Yes.
I want to answer in this question. I still feel young, Pastor Dino. Just two things, because social pressure does not stop when you're young, even until you're old, you still have social pressure. Two things that makes it negative is pressure is doing things just because everybody else is doing it. So you lose your own decision making. Then that makes it really bad, even if it's right. A right thing to do. If you do things just because everybody else is doing it, no matter how young or old you are, that's I look back and realize that makes social pressure bad. Second, the sense, this is really what, when I was young, really hit me hard. The sense of belongingness. That's where the pressure is coming from. The sense of belongingness. Any organization, any group that makes you feel you belong, the greater the pressure. Outside of that, then you would feel the pull. So whether it's a good group or bad group, whatever group it is, just have that longing of sense of belongingness. It's a deeper thing.
I think behind you, was there a hand up I saw? Yeah, okay. And then we're gonna move on pretty quick, so any other comments, raise your hand quickly, and otherwise we're gonna move on.
Normal to me is very ambiguous. In one sense, I can think of normal can be wherever water settles, that's normal. That's the simplest normality I can think of. But normal could be where you are within your own group. So normal in your group could be totally different from normal in another person's group. Another way I can think of normal is average or even centrist. Well, I think we all know in our country today that there's nothing average and there's nothing centrist specifically because we have the most divided country that we've ever had, where everybody is going to one end of the spectrum versus the other. So to try and classify people as being normal, if you use those other descriptions I gave, it's going to be a very hard thing. And it's going to be different for everyone. What I would like to think of is, let's not worry so much about what's normal, what's average, what's centrist, but rather let's think about what's right and what's wrong. I think that's key for Christians.
I appreciate that. All right. Okay. Any other hands up here? Okay. Next question. for you grown-ups on the panel. We'll come over to Brian or Crispin now with this one. Do you have any regrets from your younger years specifically regarding romantic relationships? Feel comfortable sharing?
Well, I didn't experience that, unfortunately. So I'm one of those that grew up without that experience. I mean, this is an honest answer. I think my attention was elsewhere. I was more athletic. I worried about such things. I worried about performance in school. I knew they were girls. I mean, I saw them, and they liked sports people a lot. But I really didn't. So it's difficult for me to answer that. And that's why I find it hard for young people to say, I can't stay without a relationship, because I did it. So I don't know. But if I were to say I regret, maybe I would say the first relationship, because it didn't work. I can use that, but I wasn't young. So the regret is that, you see, you get into a relationship without a reason. I think that's the biggest regret. Because now when the reason comes why you should be in a relationship, you can easily compromise and say, well, let me just continue because I'm already in it. Or you have to make a decision to come out, which I did in my case. Because now I realize, okay, you can't just be in a relationship. There must be a reason why I'm in a relationship. And that coming out is something I look at. I'm like, okay, there was that person who probably was disappointed, but I think it was right, also for me and for her, that we needed to have a reason to be in a relationship. That's the thing I would say I regret.
That's great. I'm going to share something that I regret. And I regret it in a big way. And that is back when I was in 7th, 8th grade on up through high school. I regret not choosing one or two mentors or adults that I trusted. And there were some that I trusted, I'll confess. There were some that I really trusted and respected. I regret not choosing one or two of them and telling them everything. Communicating, I like this girl and we have these feelings for each other, or instead what I did is I snuck around, and the rule of the school where I was didn't allow those kind of relationships, and so we wanted to hold hands, we wanted to kiss, and so we would sneak around and never tell anybody. And it was like, shh, it was like this stealthy thing. And I regret that in a big way. I wish I had confided these things with adults that I trusted, and there were a few, and I never did. And I regret that. Those adults, maybe I lied to myself. Maybe I thought, if adults were to find out my secrets and me and my girlfriend sneaking around and stuff, they would shame me. They would condemn my actions, or they would broadcast it, or they would go tell my parents. My parents were like the last people I wanted to find out about my practices. But today I wish I had confided in them and received words of wisdom and counsel and that kind of thing along the way, and I never did. That's my regret. Yes, sir.
I would say my biggest regret is when I was younger, you kind of approach dating as from a selfish perspective and kind of an entertainment perspective. If a girl's attractive or whatever, you might want to date her. But really, the essence of the reason why you want to date is not to find your future mate necessarily. But, as I've grown older, then really that is the purpose of dating, is to, you don't want to sound too clinical here, but you're interviewing people, to be a future mate, in essence. So it's going to change your perspective when you view it that way, because you're going to really want to get to know that person thoroughly. If that's always kind of in the back of your mind, is this person right for my future? As a possible marriage partner, rather than, hey, she's cute, let's go out, let's date, let's have a good time, let's see where it goes, or whatever. So that would be my regret.
Is that enough?
Test.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so there are a lot of times that the girls, four of us, will be talking about things like that. And April would ask me, how many boyfriends did you have, Mommy? And I said, 1. He said, is that what you're going to tell Jesus? So, anyway, and it's good really to have that kind, to let us know that you guys are all normal people, and it's just a good thing. And I had those, when we were younger, but I had no regrets, actually. Yes, all those people, maybe if they're here, they would be laughing and just smiling, looking at me. But those were beautiful experiences. And if there were like challenges, those actually taught me for the next time that, I need to do this. I don't have to do this. So no regrets, actually. It helped me grow to be the person that God wants me to be, and to find Ezer. My perfect mate. Yeah.
All right. Did I see? Yes, another hand.
My story, my boys knows about this. The word regret, when I'm in high school, I had a boyfriend. It's puppy love, we call it puppy love. It's not like serious relationship. My regret is I wish I did it nicely, because I hide it, because my parents is strict. That was in high school. But then because of they're strict, and then I withdraw it. I said, my parents are going to find it and they'll be mad. So the same thing in college, I had a boyfriend, but then my sister found it, so we broke up. And then I did it again in third year because